For those of you who are wondering where those extra Sundays of ours have gone, they're at Patreon. If you subscribe to QF on Patreon in the link given in the description to the Black Kluge level or higher, you're going to get access to not only the Sunday episodes that are missing from our regular free Sunday lineup, but you'll also get 4 extra episodes per month on Patreon that are unavailable anywhere else. Anyway, what happens, guys, we are going into the second part of our KC and the Rainbow Band, part 2. We wanted to go a little further ahead. We're going to be playing a little bit with time, but for the most part, we'll go as chronological as possible. This is the episode where he snaps because for whatever reason, Howard has pegged him to do, pardon the expression, pegged him to do something that supposedly he's not supposed to be tasked for. I messaged him privately, and I asked him outright, You claim at the end of the episode, which I'm going to get to, we're going to put it in there, that you're not responsible. It wasn't your fault. Why is that? Like you claim it wasn't your fault, then you kind of apologize for snapping, and then you go, oh, well, it really wasn't your fault. Then which is it? And he said, I'll tell you whatever you want to know, but just not in terms of an interview, I don't think. I just asked him, look, you can be anonymous. Just give me you don't have to have your voice out there, but tell me and have your say. And so he hasn't got back to me yet, but I'll push on him.
Oh, okay.
So let me just see. Also, I'm going to just getting a little announcement here from Michael McStrick. He is one of our guys that's always looking for serious, serious indications that Howard is not the priority there. So he sent me a list saying he went to a dealership, and there's a calendar that Sirius are giving as part of the promo, and he went through every month. He said, guess who isn't in it at all? Hop Along Howie. So I go, who's in the calendar? Because this is a promo calendar for anybody getting a vehicle with Sirius in it. Mary J. Blige, Justin Bieber, Beatles, Kevin Hart, LL Cool J, Kenny Chesney, Bob Marley, the 2 girls from the Today Show made it. He said that's an FU to Howard, Sheryl Crow, Dave Matthews. And I said, man, that sounds like a really fucking bad year. So
you mean to tell me he wasn't covering for June? He wasn't in June?
No, not even October, his favorite. December was U2.
Oh, wow.
And Mike says that maybe, all that scat and Marcy talk isn't endearing him enough to make it to the calendar. But like that's actually kind of a thing where if he knew about that, he would get pissed off.
Or that by this point in time, he already knows it's like he's not the head cheese there anymore. That ship has sailed by now.
I think I imagine so, but that NPD motherfucker, he might just have a little bitch fest in him at one point. But I would say he would save it for when he's leaving, not for when he's still there, because he doesn't want to admit he's getting cucked.
Well, that and the fact that he'll flip it and be like, well, I didn't want to be in the calendar anyway, because I take horrible pictures anyway, right, Rob?
That's true. Who wants to see Cocktober, the face of Howard? Well, I would think it would be have great Photoshop.
No, I know his great idea would have been like, instead of having me in the calendar, we could have done Cocktober, but they could have blurred out Sal and Richard's penis.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what everybody wants to look at them.
Sir. Yeah, it's not going to push the calendar.
Exactly. So here we go, guys.
Okay, let me see what else we got. People write in more email. Can you play Jeff the Drunk singing Johnny Cash again? That is freaking hilarious.
Oh, they like that.
Of course. Everybody likes that.
See, now Jeff will get encouraged and make another album.
Yeah, don't make another album, genius. Let me see if I have that.
You know what? I'd let him make another album. We could weed through it.
Yeah.
I love the old studio. It looks like there's not a pot to piss in. There's nothing in there. It's just loaded with carts. Like the carts are caving in on him.
And mind you, at this time, digital soundboards were already maybe about 5 years in full. Because I remember a guy who called in and he was making his own sound effects, and he's telling Fred, "Yeah, you could do it on the computer, Fred." It's like hard.
Listen, when I left Canada, it was the end of 2000, and at that point, computers were now more and more being used for. At that time, you're burning CDs, not DVDs just yet, but you could make MP3 files for whatever you wanted.
Right.
And you could easily digitize that shit back then. They could have saved themselves so much hassle so early on, getting rid of all those fucking carts, but he would have had to pay the money for it. He wasn't going to do that.
And plus, he always liked that the carts were up so he doesn't have to look at Fred.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I need your help right now. Hurry, Gary.
Well, I see KC. So.
Well, you see KC, but the audience doesn't. I was leaning
Not sure which one
in my mind. All right, here we go. Here we are. Got them both. That's not it. All right, hold on. That's not requeued. We're off to a flying start. And that's not requeued. Okay.
So funny. 20 years later, they've not gotten any more efficient. They're still fucking up in the middle of a show.
But it's always been astounding to me where this is probably the only show in the history of shows that I've ever listened to on radio that's had more blunders than in any radio show in their history combined. Anytime that they would drop a card or they'll drop a sound or they're doing an ad, everything ran so fluidly on morning shows, on zoos and all. This was the only place that it was a wreck. And and you almost wanted to think that this was, purposely done. Yeah, like it was calculated. But I also believe that he had them so on edge and had them doing so many jobs at one time that, you were going to have these foils happen.
Well, he might, and also they were, what it sounds like, they were doing jobs they weren't even supposed to do to begin with, and jobs were getting tacked on to other jobs, and in the middle of doing. The other thing is, they were maybe doing things and then not able to multitask because while you're doing something, another thing gets thrown at you, and that's just no way to run an office. And by the way, in that archive I sent you, one of the clips, it's now on YouTube. I got all the MP3s and all MP4s I wanted, but there's an efficiency expert that comes in the mid 90s, and he talks about. And it's not a great clip, but the beginning and the ending of it are good because he's going in, he's saying, well, Howard's not really, he's a little reticent to tell me exactly what's going wrong. And this guy's too much of a fan to say it's Howard's fault that this place is a disorganized mess.
Right. And he was, Howard was looking forward for the guys to get a 1 so he could see, I knew you guys were there. And he actually said for what the situation was, they didn't do that bad. They were okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now let's move on. Thank you. I guess the guys were busy yesterday and they had to get out to the gym or whatever quickly and didn't have time to clean up properly, requeue stuff, right?
Well, it seems so, yeah. There must have been something important going on.
Casey, maybe we'll give that job to Jason as well, so you'll be completely free of all your jobs?
Is he delegating?
No, I've turned over most of his responsibilities to Jason.
Is that?
Now we're going to say this is about 2002-ish.
Right.
We have to gauge by Robin's fatness. So she was fat for 9/11. She did the David Blaine thing maybe. So we're going to go 2002, 2003-ish for this, but don't quote us on that. This
Artie's
fucking Sean John chic wiggy here. That fucking fruity tattoo.
We got semi-thin Artie in studio, so
I say 2002 is a good guess but Artie stayed pretty thin for most of the terrestrial years anyway. Reasonably so. Yeah.
True.
He seems to be able to get them done.
Oh, the Casey wasn't getting them done?
No. He's too busy being medicated. Too busy being crazy. Jason, if you don't mind, can you just go through the carts at the end of the show and requeue everything? Casey's too busy. If you don't mind. Casey, you don't mind if Jason does that, do you? We'll try and free you up as much as we can.
I have a major problem with that.
And I'm gonna stick up for Casey for this one and specifically because what he's asking, basically, he wanted people to go in, requeue the carts so that everything could be played. Whatever they were, they always used to reuse the same fucking clips until they were bored. They were boring as shit in no time, but they always needed to rewind them like 8 tracks. That's pretty much what they looked like, and the way they were inserted, they sounded like that. So he's giving that an associate producer is responsible for fucking grunt work. Like that's the work. That's work an intern should be doing, or somebody at lower level.
But you know who was responsible for that before all that?
No.
Before they started getting, a Casey or a Will and Jason, who should have still had the job to do it because they were the ones that were responsible for using them. Fred.
Wow.
That's why he would always complain that Fred would always be late for the meetings, because Fred would be the one that would sit there, re-cue the cards, organize them, stack them. He and Angie would sit there and have conversations while he was doing it, and Howard would bitch and moan and say, "Well, Fred, we need you for the meetings," and he's like, "But who else is going to do this? Nobody else is going to do it." So now you done passed the buck and said, "You're Fred, you're not going to do it anymore," and this is what you get.
Right. And so if Casey's going to get upset, and I think justifiably so, and they make a little bit too much of this whole bit. But either way, we're going to go through some of it, not the whole thing, because it's a 45-minute clip, guys. I'd love to, actually, but it gets a little jocular, and ultimately there's better clips to play that are taken a little more seriously.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a major problem. Why am I the one that is blamed for everything? Like, why am I the one that is supposed to... What? No.